Number 15 on formative A. I have one set of parentheses, so I'm going to distribute and go from there. 2/3 times x is simply 2/3 x. 2/3 times 6, you can use your calculator if you want to. You can also take the 2 from the numerator, multiply by 6, which is 12, and then divide by 3, which is 4. 2/3 times 6 is 4. I also have a subtract 5 and an equals 3/2 x. I'm going to combine like terms next. Like terms are on the same side of the equation. They're either both constants, which means they don't have an x, or they're both variable terms because they do have an x. Positive 4 minus 5 is equal to negative 1. So I have a negative 1. 2/3 x minus 1, because of that negative 1, is equal to 3/2 x. I have an x on both sides of the equation. Since my constant, negative 1, is on the left, and there is no constant on the right, I'm going to bring my variable term over to the right, which means I need to make it equal to 0 on the left. So subtract 2/3 x will make that equal 0. I need to subtract 2/3 x here as well. So now I have negative 1 equals 3/2 x minus 2/3 x. If you know how to convert those into common denominators and go from there, that's great. If you don't, then you need to be comfortable doing so on your calculator. 3/2 minus 2/3 is equal to 5/6. Negative 1 is equal to 5/6 x. I need to divide by the number in front of x, which is the fraction. I really encourage students not to divide by fractions. That kind of forces you to use your calculator. Nobody divides by fractions in their head. In other problems on this worksheet, I've showed you how to multiply by the reciprocal, which is the fastest way to do it. So I'll show you that here as well. I can multiply by 6/5 on both sides. 6/5 times negative 1 is negative 6/5. 5/6 times 6/5 gives you a 1. 1 times x is x. So x is equal to negative 6/5. A couple students really don't like that. They just forget to use the reciprocal. So if I look at negative 1 equals 5/6 x, another way that is very common for students to do that problem is to multiply both sides by the denominator, which is 6. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6 equals 5x. When we multiply by the denominator and the numerator, those are the same thing. Divide by 6, multiply by 6 means you're multiplying by 1. My last step there is to divide by 5, so I'll get the same thing. Negative 6/5 equals x. This decimal is an exact decimal, negative 1.2. And so either one of those is fine, the fraction or the decimal, because you don't have to round your answer. You can say negative 1.2.